The graph, an API producing token for Web3 that seems to run up when artificial intelligence tokens run up. Question is it going to Hadouken itself back up to an all-time high? Who knows? If you're new here, please hit the subscribe button, the like button, and leave a comment below. Alright, so before we get started on the graph's tokenomics, first I just want to give a big thank you to everyone that's subscribed to my channel. It's been fun making videos for you all so far on cryptocurrency, and as I said, in the future, hopefully we can expand into other topics like psychology and other self-improvement topics. But for now, thank you very much for 100 subscribers. I look forward to keep making good content for everyone. Alright, so let's look at some tokenomics on the graph. First of all, on CoinMarketCap, we can see it's ranked number 41 in overall market cap, with just over $1 billion total. It looks like the circulating supply is around 9 billion graph tokens, with a total supply of 10.7 billion graph tokens, and max supply is currently infinite. There's no max supply. Fully diluted market cap currently sitting at $1,221 million. As far as where you can pick up the graph, Binance, Coinbase Exchange, KuCoin, Kraken, BitThumb, just about everywhere has the graph. Any somewhat sizable exchange has the graph, and they have it in high liquidity. So no worries there. So having an infinite amount of max supply is not exactly the greatest thing, but Ethereum also has an unlimited max supply technically, even though it has recently become deflationary in some sense. As far as the fully diluted market cap, I actually don't mind that too much because the market cap is 1 billion and the fully diluted market cap is 1.2 billion. So there's really not a lot to complain about there in my opinion. So in a previous video on looking at altcoins that you can consider adding to your bags for the next cycle, we looked at Chainlink. And Chainlink is a coin that is not necessarily a quote-unquote sexy play or something that a lot of people talk about, but it's an extremely high-quality project that has a real use case and deals with data. Interestingly enough, the graph is also a utility token that deals with data. So what I'm going to do is kind of read what is the graph instead of trying to paraphrase it into my own words. The graph is a decentralized protocol for indexing and querying blockchain data. The graph makes it possible to query data that is difficult to query directly. Projects with complex smart contracts like Uniswap and NFTs initiatives like Bored Ape Yacht Club store data on the Ethereum blockchain, making it really difficult to read anything other than basic data directly from the blockchain. So whereas Chainlink is something that interconnects blockchains, the graph works with data in a different way to be able to query it and produce it for whatever blockchain needs that data for whatever reason they need that data, especially data that's difficult to find because Ethereum is such a complex blockchain and ecosystem. So basically the graph solves this with a decentralized protocol that indexes and enables the performant and efficient querying of blockchain data. These APIs, called subgraphs, can then be queried with a standard GraphQL API. I'm not going to read it, but if you are interested in further information on this and the more detailed parts of it, there's more information under what I just read showing a little bit more of how the graph actually works and solves these issues in the blockchain. So here's the part that interests me and what should interest you. There's actually a graph explorer here that lists out all the other blockchains that have made a subgraph using the graph. And there's some big names here. There's LivePeer, there's Audius, there is UMA, which that's an older chain. You don't see that one too often. SushiSwap, Uniswap, Loopring, Curve Finance, Polygon, OpenSea, Allo, which I heard about Allo recently. I'll have to check that one out. CryptoPunks, BlockSquare, Rocket Pool, and many others. There's a whole list of these here that you can look at, but there's a lot of connections, actually 884 subgraphs to be exact. So the graph looks like a promising project. It's connected with a lot of other blockchains, but let's just get down to brass tacks. What everybody wants to know, Jonathan, how many X's am I going to get if I buy some now? So let's take a look at it. Clearly, I haven't done any TA on this yet, so we're just going to do this off the cuff right here while I'm recording it. So first thing, I do remember when graph ran up significantly. Back here is just kind of, I think, where the ICO happened. But if we just take it from this candle here, we'll call that the technical bottom or whatever. It ran up 1,150% all the way to $2.97 in the last bull run, specifically February 2021. The bull run ended much further than that, and the graph never reclaimed anywhere close to that area. So it did have a lot of selling pressure up there at the $3, and it never reclaimed anything. So the TA on this doesn't look fantastic for now. but the graph is a promising project. So what we can kind of do, there's a pretty easily identifiable downtrending triangle there that we've kind of got past and just been grinding sideways since June 2022. The graph really has not done much except whenever there was an AI explosion a few months back and other tokens in the AI space were running. Even though the graph technically isn't an AI token, it does have some use case in the AI space. So at this point, that trend line really doesn't mean anything to us in my opinion, so I'm going to delete it. Next thing that I can do is just try to find a current trend. And I would say the most current trend is really just this here. The graph was back in February of this year, went up to 23 cents and has since retraced to 9.25 cents, with so far the low of this cycle being around 5.3 cents. As we've discussed many times on this channel, Total 3 is not sitting in a good position right now. Not saying that it's totally going to fall tomorrow, but it definitely looks like it has some further downside action, especially with the ETH BTC pair looking like it wants to fall off of a cliff. That being said, we've talked about in previous videos, Total 3 could fall anywhere from 30 to 40% would be my estimate. So instead of looking at the Total 3 graph, we'll just go ahead knowing that information, kind of take a look and see where that would put us right now. If Bitcoin were to correct right now, and the graph went down 30%, that's around 8 cents or so. 40% down would put us at around 6.7 cents, 6.8 cents, which would line up very well with the existing bottom at 5.4. So this downtrending level of resistance here is kind of the trend line that I would be going on if I was to consider a breakout or some sort of upward price action for the graph in a bullish scenario. So let's look at our paintbrush here. It would have to break in that area of, I don't know, around 12 cents. We'd want to see the graph come up here past 12 cents, probably correct a little bit down to test this line again, and then head up in whatever fashion it wants to head up. The first resistance point is here about 30 cents actually. So there's a decent return to be had if the graph did move up. I would say that box right there between 30 and 34 cents is a good place. Long term, let's do a reverse Fibonacci here real quick. Grab our Fib tool. Swing high to swing low, if I can capture that low. Right there, I think. All right, so previous all-time high, again, like I stated, was $3. The 1618 on the graph, if it were to start ripping in the next bull cycle for whatever reason, the 1618 is sitting at $4.80, which would probably be a good TP spot, actually, because people are going to be setting bids under the $5 mark, which is a big even number. Probably get out, 20 cents or so below, so that's actually a pretty good TP on that. The 2618 is sitting at $7.75. I'm not really going to humor that, to be honest with you. I just don't see a utility token like the graph catching that big of a bid. You never know, because obviously it caught a pretty big bid right here, but I just don't see that happening. So I'm going to safely say like a max for the next cycle, probably $4.80. Quite frankly, I would be happy to see it come back to $2.50. Me personally, from where we are now at 11 cents, if I can even get that, $2.50 would be a 23x. Back to all-time high would be a 27, 28x. And then the 1618, 45x. Again, 250 is probably where I'd be looking to take profit, or at least half of what I had, and then maybe take the rest here at the previous all-time high, and just kind of see what happens from there, because it's almost guaranteed there's going to be a pullback of some sort in that area. Back to current weekly indicators though, just kind of looking at the stochastic here on the weekly chart, it does look like it's starting to curve over. The K is kind of turning over, looking like it wants to go past the D line, but it has not yet. So that's something to watch. Money flow also looks like it's starting to come out a little bit. And the RSI is just insignificant. There's really nothing there to talk about. So if I were to take a guess, I would say the graph needs to reset on the RSI once the stochastic turns down on the weekly. Also, I didn't mention earlier, we usually look at Twitter on these videos. The graph has 304.5 thousand followers on Twitter, which is good. I'm actually going to follow them myself because I'm interested in the token. None of this is financial advice. Of course, I would recommend doing your own research, but it is a token that I'm going to invest in for the next bull cycle. Probably more toward the halving, but I'm going to watch the market and see what happens because we are in kind of some strange economic times at the moment. But anyway, looking here on Twitter, I do see a pretty solid string of posts here from the graph as far as interacting with the community, providing updates. Here's an article talking about account abstraction with the graph. And then there's just a lot of information. It looks like a graphathon. I'm guessing that's some sort of protocol nerd contest or something. I'm not sure what that is. I'm not a protocol nerd. I'm a money nerd. I like money. I'm not going to go through here. Here's a hackathon that it looks like the graph is part of. Hackathons are always fun. Here's an article about somebody named GJ Flannery 19, I guess works for the graph in some capacity. Here's an article about him and his background and migration to Web3. So there's just a lot of good reading material here. This is not an investment where you make it and you aren't informed. The only reason you wouldn't be informed is if you didn't do the research. So I hope you enjoyed this overview and TA of the graph. It is a project that I'm interested in investing in for the next cycle. It has real use case and it seems solid to me, which is the point of all of these videos, is I believe that all the projects that I'm looking at are solid in some capacity. I'm not going to be right 100% of the time, but I would say most of these that we've looked at and will continue to look at are good projects. So hopefully you enjoyed the video, learned something about the graph. Thank you again to everybody for 100 subscribers. I appreciate it very much. I look forward to 1,000 subscribers one day. Help me get in that algorithm. Smash that subscribe button if you haven't already. Leave me a comment. I will happily reply to it, and hit that like button. Safe trading, and we will see you in the next video.